Sagana Dalita Sri Vishakhanitanscha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So now there will be a Bhagavad Gita class, and we will begin by singing a famous song that is usually sung before the start of a class. So if everyone can please follow after me in a call and response fashion. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Danandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Natira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Natira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Shodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Bihari Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Before we begin, we would like to recite an invocation mantra. So if everyone can please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, which is the final chapter, verse 60. So I will recite the Sanskrit. Svabhavajena kaunteya nibaddhaha svena karmana kartum nechasya yanmohat karyasyasya avashopitat. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. Purport. If one refuses to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then he is compelled to act by the modes in which he is situated. Everyone is under the spell of a particular combination of the modes of nature and is acting in that way. But anyone who voluntarily engages himself under the direction of the Supreme Lord becomes glorious. Before we begin, we will chant some invocation prayers to invoke the blessings of the previous teachers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we are discussing text 60 of chapter 18, the final chapter. Here, Krishna is saying that because of illusion, you're declining to act according to my direction. This decline of acting is described very elaborately in the first chapter. Arjuna is on the battlefield in front of many thousands and millions of warriors, and just before the battle is about to commence, he asks Krishna to draw the chariot to the middle of the field where he can see his opponents very clearly. And at such a time, Arjun refuses to battle, seeing the opposition, who are none other than his cousins, uncles, relatives, teachers. And so there are various reasons as to why he declines, or various reasons as to why, or various reasons according to Arjun, which are reasons for him to not fight in the battle. So in the first chapter is described that one of the reasons is Arjun's compassion. Arjun feels sorry and he feels compassionate towards all the soldiers on the field because they may have to die on his side and the other side. Many people will have to die in war. That's an inevitable fact. Krishna goes on to explain how this reason is not so strong, because ultimately the identity of an individual is not the material body but is the spirit soul. Krishna describes dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tatha dehantra prapti dhirastatra namuhyati. That as the spirit soul passes through boyhood to youthhood to old age, similarly the body also passes through to similarly the soul also passes through to another body at the time of death. Krishna also describes this changing of body like the changing of dress. One day we put on clothes and then when the day is over we take them off. Similarly, like that, the soul takes on clothes in the form of a body, and once the clothes are worn out or the body is worn out, the spirit soul rejects such clothing or body and accepts some new clothing. And so it's described that the spirit soul is actually indestructible, immeasurable, that it cannot be withered by the wind and cut by any weapon or burnt by any fire. And so Krishna very clearly explains, Krishna also doesn't have any reluctancy to explain this fact in abundance, because Krishna spends maybe more than 15 verses describing just the spirit soul and its nature and how it is actually immortal. It is actually eternal, primeval, everlasting. And therefore, the compassion of the dress is not such a logical argument. Sometimes the example is given that if a man is drowning, then simply to save his outer garments is a useless endeavor, because nonetheless you may save the fabric, but the guy will die. So such compassion based on the body is maybe not such a good idea. One of the other reasons Krishna gives is that he fears sinful reaction for killing soldiers. He fears that by killing his teachers, such as Dronacharya, Bhishma, that he will incur sinful reactions. Now it's described in the first chapter that actually in the course of duty one should perform the prescribed duties. Now Arjun was a Kshatriya. His natural occupation and duty, according to his psychophysical nature and the Varnashram institution of the Vedic culture, prescribes him to fight. And for a Kshatriya to back down in fighting, that is great dishonor, which Krishna says in the Gita is worse than death for a Kshatriya. And so one may argue, okay, but they're his teachers. It's also described that the teacher's qualification is diminished because they were somewhat bought out by the other party. They sided with Duryodhana's party because they were reaping the benefits of the kingdom. They were basically siding with them for the money. And so Krishna uses this to refute Arjun's argument in terms of sin. He also says that one should always perform their prescribed duties. Prescribed duties means that one should perform their work according to the institution of Varnashram Dharma. What is one's particular nature and psychophysical inclinations should definitely be taken into account. And for Arjun, that was to fight. And Krishna very clearly also eliminates Arjun's doubt of, well, I don't want to fight, I'll be better off in the forest. This was one of the thoughts Arjun had. And Krishna says, well, even if you go to the forest, you still have to perform some sort of work for your livelihood, because no one can subsist by doing no work. Even to eat for the basic necessities of life, one has to work. And it's interesting here because Krishna here is saying, but compelled by work born of your own nature, you will act all the same. Meaning that even if Arjun did go to the forest, because he's a Kshatriya, his nature will somewhat, in one shape or form, be engaged, because that is his inclination. That is his nature. That is his dharma. And so inevitably he will fight. He will act according to Kshatriya. So this kind of pretentious behavior is thereby rejected by Krishna. Now another reason given by Arjun is the destruction of the family dynasty. If many soldiers are killed on the battlefield, then who will look after the future generations? Who will carry on the welfare work of the population? Who will protect the citizens? The whole social system will be somewhat fragmented due to a large loss in significant portions of the population. But Krishna refutes this by saying that whatever great people do, common men follow. And Arjun is considered to be a great man because he is the foremost of archers. In his field, in his particular field, he's considered one of the best, or if not the very best. And so if common men follow the example of Arjun of not fighting and running away from his duty, this will very much so encourage others to not perform their prescribed duties. And by not doing so, will in itself incur sin. And therefore, Krishna completely refutes this argument also. Now here it's also described that it's not just acting according to one's nature, but also acting according to my direction. So this means that we should act according to Krishna's direction. Prabhupada mentions in the purport, if one refuses to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then he is compelled to act by the three modes in which he is situated. Naturally, everyone has to perform action. We cannot run away from difficult scenarios by playing the card of inaction, because action is inevitable. Even if we try to be inactive, it's just not possible, because that's not the nature of the soul. The nature of the soul is to be active and requires engagement. Unlike the impersonalist philosophy, the personalism philosophy describes how there must be engagement, but that engagement should be dovetailed for a higher purpose. And so when that engagement is not dovetailed for a higher purpose, one is naturally under the modes of material nature. Such modes are classified in three main categories: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So we see that these modes of material nature are acting everywhere around us, from what we eat, from the way our lifestyle is in terms of sleep, even to the extent of the way we drive. Everything can be classified under the three modes of material nature. And here what it's implied is that if one acts under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then one does not act according to the modes of material nature. So in this regard, there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So I'm just going to find the translation for this very nice verse. Actually, this verse was quoted many times by Prabhupada, and it illustrates a wonderful point. Yeah, here it is. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So it's described that one who performs devotional service or bhakti yoga transcends the modes of material nature. Now you may ask, okay, if one transcends the modes of material nature, then does that mean that one has to act according to their prescribed duties? So that comes back to the point of whatever great men do, common men follow. Because even though a self-realized person may not have any duty to perform, he also has no reason not to perform such a duty. And therefore, he still performs the duty to lead people on the correct path. Because if people do not follow the injunctions of the Vedic scriptures, naturally they will incur sin, and which is evidently not good for oneself, for the well-being of any individual, really. Prabhupada goes on to say, but anyone who voluntarily engages himself under the direction of the Supreme Lord becomes glorious. So here, Krishna is saying, act according to my direction. Now, one thing I found interesting, or really rather that came to mind, is okay, what direction does Krishna give? So in the 8th chapter, Krishna talks about death. Krishna talks about what is the destination of one after death. And he describes that this is dependent upon one's consciousness. Krishna says, Antakale chamameva smaran mukta kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam yatinastyatra samshaya. That one who thinks of me at the time of death, undoubtedly he comes to me. Then Krishna goes on further to describe yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tyajantya ante kalevaram tam tamaiva iti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. That whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So Krishna is describing that what we do in this life, we are sowing the seeds for our future life. Depending on the way we act and the consciousness we cultivate today will determine our future tomorrow. So if one cultivates Krishna consciousness, one will go to the kingdom of Krishna. And this is definitely desirable because that place is free from distress and temporary pleasures. It said, Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gatim. That after coming to me, you will never have to take birth in this material world again, which is full of temporary, flickering happiness, or rather distress. And so naturally one will think, yeah, that's great. I don't want any distress and I don't want any kind of temporariness. So then that's definitely great. But to remember Krishna at the end of our life is not just a matter of that single moment. Rather, it's a matter of cultivating that consciousness throughout our life, because it is said that at the end of life, we what we think of is the sum of what kind of consciousness we've cultivated throughout our life. So then Krishna elaborates to say that whatever consciousness one cultivates in their current life will determine the destination of their next life. So for example, if someone is cultivating the consciousness of an animal, then in their future life they will obtain a body of an animal, logically. Following on from that, the corollary is that if one is cultivating the consciousness of a demigod, next birth they'll obtain a body of a demigod. Then Krishna goes on further to describe, therefore, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yuddhya mayi arpito manobuddhir ma me vaishyasa samshaya. That where'd it go? Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Yeah, here we go. Therefore, Arjun, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So, therefore, by acting according to Krishna's direction, which here is described as to fight, ultimately Krishna is describing the best benefit for Arjun because in doing so, Arjun will attain the best destination. And that best destination is as described in the first, the other verse that I mentioned, that whoever at the end of life thinks of Krishna will definitely go back to Krishna. And Krishna also reassures Arjun by saying, of this there is no doubt. Such reassurance is given. Mm. So I think we can conclude here. If anyone has any questions, comments, or corrections, please feel free to speak. Thank you everyone for coming, and I very much appreciate your kind attention. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavangsam Shri Rupam Chakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakanitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnava Sri Rupam Saprajatam Savana Vannahantam Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aroti Ke Sobha Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aroti Ke Sobha Sadigaya Santa Baje Ganta Baje Baje Karatala Madura Mridanga Baje Paramaratala Santa Baje Ganta Baje Madur 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 Baje Santa Baje Ganta Baje Madur 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 Baje Santa Baje Bahu Koti Chandra Vadana Udana Bahu Koti Chandra Vadana Udana Gore Jalamala Jala Devana Gore Jalamala Shila Sukha Narada Gada Shiva Sukha Narada Preme Gada Gada Bhakti Vinoda Dekhe Goda Rasampada Bhakti Vinoda Dekhe Goda Rasampada Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Aroti ke Shobha Janavi Kadavani Jata Manalobha Gaurange Aroti Shobha Jata Jana Manalobha Gaurange Aroti Shobha Jata Jana Gaurange Aroti Shobha Jata Jana Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Attatari Tattarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Some prayers, everyone can do their pranam. So, Jayam Vishnu Pad, Paramahansa, Pairajikacharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Jayam Vishnu Pad, Paramahansa, Pairajikacharya, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki. Anantikoti Vaishnavinda ki. Nama Shashira Haridas Thakur ki. Premseko Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sivati Gadada, Sivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan ki. Maipur Vrindavan Dham ki. Nilachala Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki. Ganga Devi Yamuna Devi ki. Harinam Sankirtan ki. Samveda Bhaktavinda ki. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glory assembled devotees, all glory assembled devotees, all glory assembled devotees, all glory Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Prahlad Dharine. Dona Singho, para Dona Singho. Yato, yato, yamita Dona Singho. Ahina Singho, Hidayina Singho. Narasimham Adin Sharanam Prapadye. Kamakara Kamaravale Nakam Abhuda Singam Lalita Hiranyakashipu Kadupinga Keshavatita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Narasimhadev, Jaya Narasimhadev, Jaya Narasimhadev, Jaya Narasimhadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Narasimhadev Bhagavan ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Sat28Jan Acharya ki. Oh, Haribol.